1-0.
And this time calibrates on the read. Brings the serve back a little bit lower. No coaches in the corners. So this will be a real test for both players here.
2-1.
So it was earlier this year when Liang Jingkun played Kenta Matsudaira at Qatar. A very exciting match in Game 7.
1-3.
Managed to escape and show himself under pressure. Little fortune there for Fan Zhendong. As far as pressure goes, if Liang Jingkun gets off to take the first game, Fan Zhendong might start sweating a bit. More metaphorically. Very difficult ball, low to the net, taken from right off the edge of the table. Nobody's going to have an easy time countering that ball. First towel break of the game. Again, for those of you a little bit newer to table tennis, the towel rule was changed a little while back to make sure that players could only towel off every 6 points, keep the game moving.
5-2.
We've seen a few of these high arcing backhands going just long. Over the table, Fan Zhendong's backhand is incredibly strong, but his touch is great too. He might have to change his tactics a little bit. Absolute speed and power out here. Again, both of these players very strong in the legs and the wrist. From this angle, you could see the arms coming out for these exchanges, snapping at the wrist, but still carrying it straight forward. There's the explosion on the backhand side from Fan Zhendong. That's 3 in a row for Fan Zhendong right now. It's always interesting how the pressure affects the players. Again, Fan Zhendong expected to win this match, which could add more pressure to Fan Zhendong than Liang Jingkun. Oh, and he can't reach! Oh, no way! Fan Zhendong wins that point. Amazing recovery. Saves that last one, and it's off the top of the net and out. Yu Ziyang with a similar shot against Junmi Zutani in 2014 at the Japan Open. But this one there's no question about. Off the net and out.
6-7.
Now in terms of the pressure, again, Liang Jingkun, less pressure because he's not expected to win this, but it's a real huge opportunity for him to sort of move his way up, get more playing time. If Fan Zhendong doesn't win this, he'll still be sent into most tournaments. Slipping as he steps around, losing the footing with the left. It's unfortunate for Fan Zhendong. Beautiful forehand. When the racket drops that low, you know you're going to have some heat to deal with. He sees it's coming off the table, gets the right leg out of the way, and drops the racket head for that full stroke wide.
Set 8-4.
Excellent
9.
power, Liang Jingkun near the table. He's been very comfortable and successful with these shots that come out wide to the forehand and dangle off the table. We talk about how power comes from the legs, and in that slow motion shot we saw of Liang Jingkun with the wide forehand. You could see his quads and how large his quads are. Strong leg muscles. Fan Zhendong as well. Heavy underspin on the serve. Game point for Liang Jingkun. This time it's well lifted back. Fan Zhendong reads it, lifts it, loads it with spin, and saves a game point. Now for the underdog, taking the first game is so important. We know Fan Zhendong has the power to come back. Forcing Fan Zhendong off the table just goes to show you, even at Fan Zhendong's level, still, he's going to be less consistent countering from that far behind the table with the backhand than with his forehand. Liang Jingkun takes game one, 12-10. It creates some suspense here as he leads and creates some work for Fan Zhendong. Game two coming up. We'll see more experienced players without a coach in the corner. There's no coaches in the corner here either.
Lock 1.
Excellent rally to counter. Liang Jingkun keeping the pressure on. But it's Fan Zhendong who keeps the final shot on the table.
Two, 1.
And the pressure to keep the serve low. Don't see too many service errors from Fan Zhendong. Xu, on the other hand, had a conversation about it after his loss to Ma Long at the World Championships. And under pressure, he finds that he doesn't trust his serve sometimes enough. 6 times in one match, I remember Xu having a service fault. Well played, only go wide to the forehand if you think it's not coming back. Difficult, I've seen Fan Zhendong, I guess it was right before the Marvelous 12 started, lobbing and fishing. It almost seems like it's not part of his vocabulary, and it's probably not because it's English, but normally he will counter anything he can back onto the table.
Four, 3.
Look at this angle, Liang Jingkun hooking it wide with the forehand. He's done this so many times so far in this game, or in this match rather. Bit of side spin on it, coming around the outside of the ball when he takes it late. This is a trick we see from Xu, who tends to take the ball later than other players on the Chinese national team. Significantly.
5-4.
What a swing. In momentum, that is. 4 points in a row for Liang Jingkun. Net for net, the touch. Fan
5-4.
Zhendong won the point of the year last year. And while this wasn't that, it was still enough to keep him in the point and ultimately win the point. Love the way he uses that backhand, the wrist from way out in front to still generate the spin and speed.
5-6.
On the run, Liang Jingkun takes the lead back.
Seven, 5.
I feel an unusual sense of pressure against Fan Zhendong right now to create shots. You can see it in his effort. He just doesn't seem as comfortable as usual. This is the power of taking game one when you're the underdog. You can put a dent in the confidence of your opponent, take advantage of having them a little bit nervous or tight, maybe cautious or second-guessing themselves, but when they're confident, they are tough to stop. Chop block off the top of the net.
8-5.
Little apology there from Liang Jingkun. I think he's happy about the shot decision. The fact that he's let himself get into a chop block. That's how he'd much rather play, a much higher percentage way to win the point, playing aggressively. Playing a top spin counter loop off the backhand side. Look at these surprises, the angles. Liang Jingkun with 5 game points for a 2-0 lead. Game 1 was by the narrowest of margins. Game 2, not even close.
Ten, 6.
Not so soon, 1 game point saved. Now we've seen comebacks from the Chinese national team. 4-10 down in Game 7, Xu Xin beats Jun Mizutani. And against Lin Gaoyuan, 5-10 down.
10-7.
Now it's pretty early in the match, but I think if there were a coach in the corner for Liang Jingkun, that coach might call a timeout right about now. Three game points left. Second serve here.
Net 10-7. 11-7.
There it is, the heavy side spin and underspin serve from Liang Jingkun. 11-7. It's a 2-0 lead over the world number 2. Fan Zhendong will be back for game number 3 right after this. In this tournament, down 0 games to 2.
One up.
Nice patient play into the body. Now this time the ball from over the table. Liang Jingkun getting a nice full stroke with the forehand. He's dangerous on that wide forehand wing. The angles he creates in near the table, he's very confident playing the risky shot near the line.
1-2.
Now watching Fan Zhendong practice at the World Championships, he had a similar situation. He was working with Lu Guoliang. The towel on the table, playing the down the line backhands, the parallel shots. Some of those would come in very useful here. Well, Fan Zhendong might have the greatest power in the world. Liang Jingkun's definitely coming up with some big shots here and creating wide angles that are deterring Fan Zhendong from winning these long rallies and the powerful shots.
2-3.
How do you even get that back? Fan Zhendong hits an amazing shot from down low on the forehand side. Low and spinny, and Liang Jingkun counters it back. Now us as viewers, we sort of know how much is on the line, and maybe not fully, but we understand the gravity of Liang Jingkun. If he wins this match, He's going to end up in the semifinal on a platinum event. For bonus points and everything else, his world ranking could skyrocket. Who knows, he could very well win the tournament. This match right here. This is a big one.
4-3.
But I think for his best result, he knows better than to be thinking about big picture. He's thinking about winning each point that he plays, being very present and focusing on the matter at hand.
4-3.
Oh no, Liang Jingkun had earned it. A gift wrapped, filled out. Oh, the swatting backhand. Almost a Jorgen Persson's specialty out here, except it didn't make it. Zhendong looked like he had thrown in the towel. One last shot, just enough to save the point.
5-4.
That high ball, could it cost him more than 1 point? Again, mentally, that can be quite frustrating. We all know that feeling.
5-4.
But mentally, that's a quick recovery. To go inside out with this forehand from the back of the table, below net height when he hits it. Whoa!
6-5.
Inside out forehand and blasted back down the line. Zhendong from way down low. A very decisive punching backhand from Liang Jingkun. Zhendong softening it up just a little bit. 80% still looks quite powerful out here. Now, Liang Jingkun has shown time after time that he's comfortable countering the high-speed shots. This is something that, when it comes to tactics and maturity, Ma Long is excellent at changing the pace in the rally. Might serve Zhendong well out here as well if he can, especially when he gets Liang Jingkun off the table.
6-4. 6-7.
Fans chanting, trying to get Zhendong back into this match.
7-4.
Heavy underspin short pendulum serve to the forehand's one way to do it. Amazing the amount of underspin he gets. He generates by just brushing briefly under the ball and then stopping the racket to go the other way. The after motion to disguise the spin. Wow.
8-7.
You know, it's tough to say when we talk about power within the Chinese national team. I mean, Liang Jingkun is showing us some incredible power out here right now. We just don't get to see him as much as we see Zhendong.
Seven, 9.
And a long underspin serve, reverse pendulum. Wow. Wow, completely fools him. Comes back below the halfway point on the net. And look at this.
9.
Pendulum right back, long underspin serve. Says, yeah, I can do that too. I mean, it's spinning the other way, of course, but still. Yo, what a point!
9-4.
Oh my goodness, the long serves and then the explosions back and forth. Look how fast these shots are going. Absolute matrix speed out here. Could be the turning point in the match. Liang Jingkun with 2 serves. He used his serve effectively with that long underspin reverse pendulum. Oh, wow, digging deep from the backhand corner. Liang Jingkun muscling it out to turn the corner and reach the next ball on the forehand side. That ball right there, this is where the quad power really comes into play. And look at that leap from Zhendong. Must have jumped a good 4 feet to the right just to try and take that forehand. Looked like he was in the air when he wrapped around the ball. Game point for Liang Jingkun. Nice shot, very clever placement. Zhendong going behind the momentum deep to the backhand corner, breaking the pattern that he created in the point before. So Liang Jingkun drying his palm on the table near the net. Trying to keep the sweat out of the eyes as well. Clearly the feeling is mutual. Deuce. Unbelievable point once again. Zhendong from below the table hits a super spinny shot. Liang Jingkun counters it and gets back up to keep the point going. Zhendong playing it smart to play it into the body side of the elbow. Game point for Zhendong on the receive. Forehand flip goes out. Zhendong with his first game this match, and this starts to get really interesting. Game 4 coming up. Stick around. You don't want to miss it. Best play in for Liang Jingkun with the serve.
Love 1. Love.
This is a very different Liang Jingkun than we've seen the last few games. Very close. Had game point to go up 3-0.
Love.
Now some of these loose ends were not left untied. Liang Jingkun was capitalizing on almost every opportunity so far in the match.
Love 4.
A little bit of confidence now we see in Zhendong controlling in the fast rallies.
Love 5.
Now, as strong as the legs are of Liang Jingkun, it seems like he's being tested in a different way. He's being run around off the table. Zhendong changing the quality of his serve, shortening up it a little bit.
Love 6.
Zhendong just seems a bit faster. Finally, a shot that misses from Zhendong. First point for Liang Jingkun so far this game.
Long 7.
We've seen Zhendong lose the first 2 before and come back against Dmitry Ovtcharov. I think it was the World Tour Grand Finals. 2-0 for Dima.
2-7.
And then a deuce when the ball cracked. Very impressive display from Zhendong.
Well
played, Liang Jingkun covering the backhand.
Deep
push on the table. Zhendong extends his lead. Again, being up 6-0 and then 7-3. It's a lot of momentum for Liang Jingkun. If he keeps up this ratio, could be right back in the game.
3-9.
But Zhendong wants no such thing to happen. Second towel break of the game. beautiful backhand.
10-4.
Misleads with the upper body. Liang Jingkun anticipates the other way. And then the Chiquita out wide to the forehand for the point. 6 game points for Fan Zhendong. And a much less
7-4.
tested game 4.
Fan.
Fan Zhendong 11-4 to dominate and tie things up quickly. It's 2-2. Feels like the
1 love. Love 2.
using his opponent's spin and speed. I was shaking my head as soon as he made this shot. I'm just thinking to myself, it's completely on a different level. Yet this is sort of the standard for Fan Zhendong. Wow, one after
Love
another.
3.
Down the line to the backhand, opening up to the forehand. I mean, he's just consistently playing incredible shots that seem unearthly.
Three, 1.
Excellent placement, Liang Jingkun. Setting up that third ball, getting it to come long on the receive.
Yep. 3-1.
Oh man, once again,
Oh,
deep
one.
right at the baseline of the table, and then turns the corner to play the short side for the step around. What a combination. Look how wide the feet are for Fan Zhendong. The way he transfers the weight, you could see the quad muscles working to rebalance himself and get back into the table. Grunt for grunt, it's Liang Jingkun with the counter to win. From a consistency standpoint, we just haven't seen it from Liang Jingkun after the end of game 3. 3 of the last 4 points in that game were just outstanding. There's going to be a lot of self-coaching out here. And if Fan Zhendong can create these wide angles, especially on the backhand side, he's going to get a less powerful shot out of Liang Jingkun, a less comfortable shot.
Six, 2.
Now, someone recently asked me on social media, they said, hey, have you ever tried the Chinese national team rubber? Have you played with Feng Bo's racket? And the answer is yes. And I will say it's heavy and it's hard. In the short game, the ball doesn't go anywhere. If you really want to generate power, you have to come into it with a lot of racket speed. But the tack factor, the tackiness, creates a different arc and trajectory in the counter looping game.
3-7.
It's part of the reason you don't see a lot of European players using Chinese rubber on their forehand. They didn't grow up training with it. They'd have to change their game to adapt to it.
4-7.
Similar score to last game, but instead of 7-3 becoming 8-3, Liang Jingkun taking this point. Half long on the forehand side. Now a 2-point game. Thinking back to the mental toughness conversation with Jonathan Groth about how there are players all over the planet who can loop quite hard and hit counter loops for minutes and minutes at a time. But under pressure to hit shots like this and change your tactics and outthink your opponent. This is what makes the professionals. It's endurance of the body and the mind. Nice parallel backhand. Doesn't have to be the widest shot, but just enough change in direction to get a slower shot. Sort of a second guess out of Liang Jingkun.
Yep. 5-9.
Once again, that full stroke forehand creating the angle. Liang Jingkun's been quite unpredictable with it too. It looked like until the very last moment he could have played that into the body or even the backhand side of Zhendong.
Left. 6-9. Nine, 7.
Fast long serve. Tough to read the spin on it. I definitely guessed that there was less topspin than Zhendong thought was on it. Looks like underspin deep right at the baseline of the table. Zhendong sees underspin, but there's more on it than he realizes. And the timeout called. Zhendong trying to clinch this. Stop the comeback. And credit to Zhendong for calling it with still a 2-point lead. We've seen timeouts later, even with a coach in the corner. While he still feels in control, Zhendong was up 7-3. For me, Zhendong is going to have to play some big parallel shots. Cross court is the more secure shot. Zhendong generates enough spin, even on his heavy drives,
9-7.
that I think he has some, I don't know, should have some confidence to go down the line. There it is, down the line from the backhand side of the table, or from the forehand side to the backhand, right down the line to finish the point. It's the follow-up. Look at his foot slide there. You have to hope that nobody pulls a hamstring in those situations. 3 game points for Zhendong right out of the timeout. Not against that backhand, not yet. Third towel break. And if Zhendong can find a parallel shot, I think once again he might have to set it up with a cross-court shot or a shot into the elbow first. He's got the soft touch over the table. He's on the receive now. Liang Jingkun with 2 serves if he can use them both. The break off the top of the net. A big point for Zhendong to take a 3-2 lead. Liang Jingkun with a much better back, down 2 games to 3 after taking the first 2 and almost the first 3 straight. Killer forehand flip shot. Strong in the short game. Good way to start off. So comfortable, so fluid on one foot to get over for that.
Love 2.
Slower arcing, spinny backhand. Excellent combination. One into the middle, gets the forehand and plays it right back wide down the line to the forehand side. A little bit more from the middle of the table to finish it.
2-all.
And a heavy underspin serve.
Two, 3.
Well, that has to be a sign. You can see it in his breathing and the body language. Timeout here for Liang Jingkun. I mean, if there's a coach in the corner and they see the racket drop from the hand like that, not on the shot, I mean, there's no question he needs to take a breather, to take a moment and regather himself. The energy is very clear for Liang Jingkun. Ball sits up a little bit high. Now again, when you're in Zhendong's position on this, if you stay central on the table, he was starting to back up a little bit, but if you're in a good position, it adds extra pressure. Liang Jingkun could play that ball down the line and it could come back into play. That little bit of hesitation, it seemed, cost him the point. So back from the timeout, Liang Jingkun, let's see how he changes. Remember, the first 2 games, he was quite on point. He won 12-10 and 11-7.
Four, 2.
This has also been a specialty for him, that hooking forehand, bending wide. Hasn't come down the way it was in the first two games.
Net 4-2.
Perfect placement
5-2.
right into the crossover point. Zhendong continues to run ahead. Tries to turn for the forehand for a moment and is completely jammed.
Spectacular fireworks on both sides, and 1 foot or 2 leaping, jumping, whatever it takes. They're so far behind the table. Warp speed.
I'm surprised we didn't hear a sonic boom during this point. Unbelievable power from two giants in the game. Beautiful from Zhendong. Over the table, that banana, the Chiquita out wide.
Net 2-7. Wow. 7-3.
Going for the power. Zhendong punishing himself quickly for that decision. Maybe felt like he should have put a little bit more spin on it. Quick to assert himself, very aggressive and positive play from Liang Jingkun. No timeouts left. Both players have used their timeout. Break off the top of the net. Not a point ender. Just breaking the rhythm here. Liang Jingkun still has a chance at this ball. What Liang Jingkun has shown he's best at is the high pace of play. But on a few occasions, the slower balls have escaped him. He hasn't been able to sort of calibrate. This comes with time and experience. Again, the change of pace, something that Ma Long used very effectively to beat Zhendong at the World Championships.
5-8.
Soft shot, the soft hands, leaves it at the back of the table. Liang Jingkun gives some trouble to Zhendong. The placement of that ball so deep into the backhand court. Just a little bit late to get the upper body out of the way. Comes back one too many times. Zhendong returning in the counter game, backhand to backhand. Wider and wider to the forehand. Zhendong moving well out wide. He knows the ball likes to hook when Liang Jingkun counters. It's now 4 match points for Xiaopang Zhendong to move on to the men's singles semifinals. Chop block and the touch shot carries long. What a way to finish in fashion. A bit of side spin never hurt nobody but the opponent. And it's Zhendong who moves on, the defending champion from last year.